Okay, so I'm assuming this is recording. I've not done a particularly good job of securing all this stuff, so it's kind of knocking, being a bit annoying. Hoping I can sort something out with that at some point, because otherwise it's going to knock and spoil the audio. But for now, just looking ahead, I was going to turn around, but I don't think this is anywhere near finished yet. I should actually be getting on my way to get my panniers, but I thought I'd just nip up here a little bit and see what it's like. And also because I've just realised that I've been recording in 1080 the whole time. Nothing wrong with that, but this can do 2.7K because it's the GoPro for silver. It doesn't do full 4K, but it does 2.7, which is more than enough. Okay, so it looks like possibly should have saved my drone for this. However, actually I don't know. Got to concentrate on this. However, to be honest, that kind of valley section was really good. So I can see up ahead the switchbacks from the Hardknott pass. I'm guessing that's the beginning of it. Big thanks to Missenden Flyer. I wouldn't have known about this otherwise. He did this on his tour of the north. I've been up to the Lake District loads of times, and I have looked at sort of best driving roads, but I guess really in a car it's not what you would describe as a great driving road, because it's so steep. Probably going to consider waiting at the bottom for this guy. Might maybe go up to the first bit. Just wait here for him. It's going to be the mother of all hill starts. But I'm not going to do a 3-point turn here, so I guess I'm committed right now. And you know what? In all honesty, I might have had enough fun for one day. Much as I would love to continue going up there. Jesus, that doesn't look good. My traction control is going mental, and I'm going to have to go all the way back down as well. So let him go down. On the BMW off-road course, they teach you to just use the engine braking going down really steep stuff. But I don't know if it's this bike in particular, but the clutch doesn't seem, the engine braking doesn't seem to do that much. I think it's what they call a slipper clutch, which, as far as I know, maybe that's just kind of when you release it, but actually, if you just let it go in first gear down the really steep stuff, it does, a bit disconcerting to start with, but it does actually just sort of eventually sort itself out. So I'll have to look on the map and find out exactly which this bit is. So I think the Hardknott pass is the bit up there, so I actually didn't do the Hardknott pass, but I have got a guy up near Newcastle waiting for me today, picking up a load of BMW luggage from him, which was technically the reason for the trip. So yeah, I don't want to be too late. I told him I'd be with him around lunchtime. But this is just awesome. And to be fair, when I had the drone up about 20 minutes ago, there was like one car every sort of 5-10 minutes. So it's really not full of traffic. It's a shame I got this one in front of me now, because it looked really nice before. I don't know if there's a bit of green laning for John down here, probably. The place where I first stopped to put the drone up, there was guys in a car and a tent. It's just a really nice place. I know kind of wild camping is frowned upon by some, but I think it's really, really nice just to be able to stick a tent up in surroundings like this. Look at that valley. That's awesome. It's a shame I got this car in front of me, but I'm not going to, I might just wait and let him go so I can have the view to myself. We've got a couple of guys coming the other direction anyway. Shouldn't be riding this like a TT course, but you know. Thank you. So actually, yeah, I think I drove through that gate with the drone following me. I was pretty impressed actually. At one point it got freaked out because of the altitude, so I'll have to do some reading. I'm not sure how that works, because obviously it's reading the altitude whether it thinks that you want it at a dead set altitude when you're driving along, and therefore if it kind of encounters stuff, obstacles at that altitude, it's just going to freak out. I don't know, but it did an amazing job. I would say, you know, the bird's eye view stuff is very nice, but it does get boring really quickly, the sort of top-down stuff. So what I really recommend is tilting the gimbal up, getting it quite close to you. I'll have a look at the stats and see exactly how close I was, but yeah, getting it pretty close to you and then driving off, and did an amazing job. And that sort of following view, is just awesome. And with the kind of, you've got the bike in the foreground, and then you see all the landscape behind you. It's really nice, and it did an incredible job. I mean, that sort of, yeah, that's amazing. I mean, that kind of system opens up so much possibilities. It's made me think actually that what I'm potentially going to do when I go home is sell my big Inspire 1 with its 4K camera, and get they just brought out another Mavic actually, but I think it's just a slight tweak on the current model that I've got. It does have like half an hour flight time, but to be honest, I could just get more batteries. I mean, it's pretty useful. So today, for example, yeah, all right, I burned through pretty quickly, but I had 30% battery warning. So to be honest, I could have flown for probably another 5-10 minutes, and it would have been absolutely fine. But because of where I started, the distance from the home point, what it does is it calculates how far it's got to get back to the home point, and it'll sort of have a little freak out and tell you that you need to that it needs to basically go home, and that's what it was about to do. And what I didn't want it to do was sort of scoot off into the air and fly all the way back to the home point, especially not as it was right next to those people in the tent. I don't think they would have been that impressed. I mean, it has collision avoidance, but I think if you read the manual, I've got a feeling that collision avoidance only works at a certain speed. Like above a certain speed, it won't work. So, you know, if it's careering along towards a car, I mean, you know, hopefully you shouldn't be that. I'm just going to slow down in case he has to stop on the hill. I really don't fancy a massive hill start. Right, so I got my petrol light on. I'm hoping that we've got a petrol station within 25 miles, otherwise I'm a bit fucked. Sorry, hoping we've got a petrol station in under 43 miles, otherwise I'm a bit screwed. I'm sure there will be. I think it was 25 miles to Kendal. So I can't imagine it'll be a problem. I really hope the sound is recording on this, because otherwise I'm really wasting a huge amount of thinking time talking rubbish. So yeah, as I say, my top tips for shooting the drone is try and get as close to you as possible that you can do safely. So obviously, you know, I was on a completely empty road. I was higher than any cars. If you've got trucks or anything in your immediate vicinity, you want to be careful. You also want to look out for trees. But really, that's it. I mean, you've got the thing about all these drones is they've got really, really wide lenses, and what that means is the further away you go, you know, you don't have to be very far away, and the object that it's looking at will become really small in the frame. So, and that's just not that interesting. As I say, the bird's eye view is kind of overdone, I think, and I think it's just because people tend to get their drones, you know, fly them up to 100 feet and then just let them go. So I think it's just because that's what everyone does, and obviously you feel safer with your drone as high, you know, nice and high up. But the really cool shots, in all honesty, are when you're kind of quite close. I think, you know, I think that's what drones are amazing for. Sure, you know, get your lovely landscape stuff, but that's going to be like 2 seconds in your shot. So I could definitely come back here and do some photography with the Hilux. This is the place to come, I reckon. So yeah, I think when I get home, I'm just going to sell the big drone, because if I want to do anything like that, well, do you know what? There's two reasons. So first of all, what I've realised is I've used my Mavic way more than I've used any of my other drones. Obviously the Phantom comes in a nice backpack. The Phantom is way faster, way more powerful. I've never had it come up with kind of power warnings in the wind, whereas the Mavic, you know, it doesn't have to be a huge wind, and it will, you've got to be pretty careful. You know, you can fly it out, to sea, for example, and then suddenly realise that the wind is too strong. You know, when you turn around, the wind is too strong for you to be able to get back. So you've got to be pretty careful, and the Phantom just doesn't have that problem. So I've kind of flown him really, you know, what I would consider too windy for a drone, but we've been in a location we've had to try and get a shot, and we decided to take a risk. We put it up in the air, and it, you know, the takeoff and landing is the most difficult bit, to be honest. The actual flying is pretty good, and you wouldn't know that it was super windy because the gimbal does such a good job. But I honestly think these little ones, these baby ones, are the future. I mean, they're only going to start getting better, and really, unless you're kind of travelling on location, you're doing proper cinematic work, then I just think the smaller ones are going to get more use. I mean, the Mavic you can just stick in your rucksack. You can take it anywhere with you. I am absolutely gutted that we got it stolen? I'm gutted that we got it confiscated in Morocco. You can't take drones into Morocco.